How long have you been using Mojo?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about Mojo. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the pilot when you're introducing the concepts of Mojo. So that was 2 or 3 years ago. And once it became ready for production, myself and my team have been a part of Mojo.
Why did you want to sign up for it?
Truthfully, I'm a big believer in Too Logical and the work that your company does. I've had the great pleasure of working with Joe and John Casey and Dave Naller, a variety of members of your organization since 2009. I was working for a managed care company at that point, and it was a company that really wanted a transformation of sales leadership, as well as the way their sales team thinks and acts and works. That managed care company, it was ranked third out of three companies in Western New York, and through the support that Too Logical provided and the work that we did, went from third to first in a year and a half. And what was nice is not only sales performance, but independent ratings of the company went from third to first as well. So I've been a big believer. I think it's something that is not looked at as seriously as it should by many organizations, and don't see the value and the impact of this can provide to their leadership team as well as their sales teams.
How has Mojo specifically benefited you and your team? How did you know it was working or worthwhile?
Mojo has benefited our team since it was rolled out. My team knew I was part of the pilot, and I was sharing a lot of the concepts and ideas with them during our team meetings. And we always talk about, and I know you talk about, getting people to lean in or look up. And as I talked with them more about the ideas and concepts and things that I was, listening to, I could see there was significant interest. So I talked with them and asked if they would like to be part of it. And, for my most tenure, who's been with our organization over 30 years and is eyeing retirement, to some of my newer members, they were all very interested. So I ended up signing my team up for Mojo, which was great. Initially, the first couple of meetings, I actually took the lead, but I could tell very quickly they wanted to be more involved, which was good. Instead of me picking the subjects and the podcast to listen to, they wanted to be involved. So really, the whole meeting has been turned over to them. So when we meet, about a quarter of our meeting is dedicated just to Mojo. We have a different lead each time we meet, and they select the podcasts as we're going to discuss, and they kind of lead the discussion. When we finish that particular podcast, we just simply have a rotation that we're all on. So the next member, steps up, and the day or two after the meeting, we'll get a text that will go out to the group saying, for our next team meeting, we're going to be covering the following subject on Mojo and where it's located and the title of the topic itself. It's been great as they get to select their own topics. The mindset of where, different members of my team are, from focusing on career motivation or leadership motivation or happiness or financial wealth or fitness. We've really covered all the different aspects of Mojo really over the last couple of years. And we look forward to it. And it's a really good discussion. While we do have a team lead who discusses and kind of introduces the topic and their version of what they took from it, everyone is very actively involved. They talk about how that podcast relates to them or what they would like to do moving forward. We talk about current state of our organization. We talk about current state of our leadership team, things that we like and things that maybe are a little different that we learn from as well. So it's really positive. And the feedback I've gotten from the team is that it's nice that we're investing time in them and allowing them to talk about their own personal development on a frequent basis. It's not an event, but it's an ongoing occurrence. Yes, we're doing it in a work setting, but these are principles that can apply in your personal life as well.
How has Mojo enhanced the coaching and mentoring process for you?
What I will say is there's times where we'll have coaching opportunities and discussions with individual team members, and they'll reference that's similar to one of the podcasts we listened to a few months ago, or, the language you use as far as start with the positives, the what I learned situation. They're beginning to recognize the way I coach really is mirroring what Mojo is really all about. I come with 32 years of leadership experience, but some of them are newer. I watch them coach each other. How are they comfortable in coaching and managing up, managing down, managing sideways, and just really having honest, candid conversations? And how do you approach those conversations? I think it's been very positive for them.
What's been your favorite part of Mojo?
A couple of things. One, I was, as I mentioned, part of the pilot. So I do a lot of walking. So it was great for me when I'm out walking with my dogs, just to escape. A lot of times that's at 5 or 5:15 in the morning to try to just improve my own skill sets. But what I like about the way Mojo is constructed now is they're short snippets. So you can very quickly listen to a topic and a refresher. And we've been doing this for a couple of years now with my team, and repetition is okay too. Hearing and going over a podcast. And I know because I keep notes, some of the podcasts we have gone over a couple times, different people have selected them, and the conversation was different the second time. So I think that there's value to that too. So it's been good.
What about for your people? What have they said they most enjoyed about it?
It's a very general response. I would say everything. What I find is the best compliment to your organization is my team talking about what we do and having others want to do it. The ability to expand that out to other departments within our organization because it's valuable. I think we're all very driven to drive results, but if the mindset isn't right, then the full potential of those results will never be realized. We work in I would say, a pretty high stress type environment. And what I would tell you is that as I've grown with my team, that how they approach situations and handle adversity has changed, and it would be changed for the positive. It's easy to lead when everything is going well. It's tough to lead when things aren't going so well. And yeah, I watch each of them. They're great leaders. They're great people, in handling that adversity. I think has been really, really paramount to them. And I think a lot of it is the time we spend. Again, each meeting, we dedicate 25% of the meeting to their own personal and not our own personal development, because I'm part of it as well and always learning. Yeah, I would also say to you, I promoted a person onto our team, and his comment was that, the time we spend together on these topics, he finds invaluable. And, I can tell you he lives it because, yes, we talk about it as a group, but then when we have our one-on-one meetings weekly, he's sharing experiences with our sales team. He's sharing it with sales leadership. He's sharing with maybe his interactions with his wife, and, all really good stuff. So again, what I've always tried to do in my career is not make any type of podcast or training an event, but something that's truly meaningful that you carry on after the meeting is over or after the podcast. And I can tell you that certainly has happened with Mojo and with what we're trying to do.
And so you mentioned for your group, one of the things that you've noticed is their ability to better handle adversity. Any specific examples come to mind?
Every day, there's different challenges they're all faced with, truthfully, whether it's dealing with university and government challenges that, we're responsible for driving results for, or we sell through distribution, and how myself and our team members work with members outside our organization and helping us align with our goals and what we're trying to achieve. I just think it's that mindset and being able to have those sometimes difficult conversations, but honest conversations, and to be able to find a win-win in most situations with everything that we do.
How has Mojo impacted you and your team's performance?
Yeah. So there's three areas I'm responsible for. One is selling through distribution, and we've had record numbers as far as our purchases from our distributors, which is, great. And, certainly helped our organization have success, but also, over the last few years, picked up responsibility for both university and government sales. And, I'm happy to say that both of those leaders have experienced tremendous growth well over their goals that were set for them and their quotas, which is, good for the organization. And again, good for us. They're extremely hard workers. So it's never been a question of work ethic, but I think it's sometimes mindset and getting your mind in the right place to be successful and to see success and sometimes see little victories. And I would say that those individuals that were new to the roles have really exceeded all expectations because, again, I think the way they approach challenges, they look at them really as opportunities now, opportunities to grow or opportunities to provide solutions in areas that, maybe organizationally we've been challenged in the past.
What were some of your hesitations or misconceptions about getting started with Mojo, and how did those pan out?
Yeah. As I mentioned to you, so I've been working with Joe and Two Logical since 2009. Not a lot of hesitation as far as what would we get from this. Um, Being a part of the pilot, it was a good, real positive reinforcement. For me, it was how do you share this with others? Our organization, truthfully, doesn't look at training like this, like I would want, and maybe you would want. And, for me to be able to push and kind of sell the concept was a little bit of work. But, what I can tell you is the flattery is when my team members are telling others how much they're enjoying this. It makes that conversation so much easier when I said, hey, I would like to do this for a second year, that, it just made sense.
What would you say to other leaders that are, maybe considering signing up their managers, their people for Mojo, but maybe are a little hesitant?
I think to be open, to be open to the concept and to understand the value that if we don't invest time in our people, our leaders, our sales teams, any members of our organization, we'll never reach our fullest potential. I think we're always being watched as a leader, and that by investing in products like Mojo, show that we care and that we're willing to provide value and to help our people be the best version of themselves. The other thing I would say, I guess, is this through life experience, is if you're signing up for Mojo and you're just handing it off, I don't know if as an organization or you as a leader are going to see the greatest value, because I think it's it's got to be part of your DNA and it always starts at the top. And so I think it's important that if we're signing our team up for something like this, that we're front and center, and it's not something that's good for them, but it's good for all of us at the end of the day. What's been really valuable, they see that we talk about it, and we have follow conversations just during our normal one-on-one meetings too. So again, it's not, okay, we did that on Monday and we'll talk about it again to the next team meeting. It comes up all the time.
How has Mojo impacted maybe some of the relationships you have with people or the culture of your team in general?
I think strengthened. I have a variety of people from very tenured to newer with the organization. In fact, we just promoted another person to our team back in May. And again, Mojo's is part of our DNA and what we do during team meetings. And I think the person started on a Monday. I think we had a team meeting that afternoon. And so, obviously they didn't know a lot about what was going on, but they heard what we were talking about. And it was interesting for me to hear her chime in right away. I'm like, I didn't listen to the podcast because I just joined the team, but like her version and her thought process behind what we were talking about, to the point which we were all like, wow. If the ask was, could you sign me up? And I'd like to lead the next session. I was like, that's impressive. So, so she's been, new to our team, but a very quick adopter to what we're trying to do. Great notes and very active. And yeah, I watch when we do these meetings, Sean, I watch that it's just not one person or two people. Everyone's talking and waiting to jump. Yeah, that's great. That's great. The other thing I noticed from this, and again, it just kind of flows. And, for me as a leader, I can almost step back and just really value and listen to what they're saying. And then, I kind of tie in and try to put a bow on it at the end of what we're talking about. The feedback has been great. I've got a couple people that run and they exercise and I listen to them when they're doing it. Like, so not just what we have to do for the upcoming meeting, but they move ahead. And did you get a chance to listen to this podcast? And so the adoption has been really good.
All right. Last question. If you had to describe Mojo in one sentence, how would you describe it?
It would be a long sentence. I would say, I would say Mojo has made a tremendous impact on my team, and it has helped them understand the value that I place in each one of them. And at the same time, help them and us be the best version of themselves each day.